I wanted to go ahead and I guess do a video. It's been at least about a month since I've done my last video, and it was I guess for a good reason because I know I just want to take a break from YouTube and just kind of chill for a little bit, and just kind of take a break from posting and all this other type of stuff and responding and all this type of stuff and looking at stuff. I just wanted to kind of just give YouTube just a little break. I wasn't really going anywhere for an extended period of time, but I just kind of wanted to kind of rest the hands a little bit because sometimes when you're dealing with YouTube on a daily basis, it does get a bit overwhelming and you get kind of tired and you just want to take a break and find something else to do. So for the most part, what I've been doing, since I did my last video is just watching different videos, not really commenting or really giving much of my input on a lot of things like I would normally do. But I would just kind of sit and just kind of, look at other people in their videos and see, their opinions and everything and where they're coming from and everything like that, just kind of take inventory, and just kind of take in what people are saying about different situations of what's going on in society. But I really wanted to wait, until now to do this video about, two major issues that actually happened. And I kind of wanted to wait a little bit until the hype died down just a bit, and just kind of talk a bit about, this issue with the Confederate flag and, this horrendous act that was done when this individual by the name of Dylann Roof decided to take it upon himself to go into a church in South Carolina, Charleston, South Carolina, and kill, I think they were saying 9 people. Well, I guess I don't know. I guess I don't. I guess I'm just gonna have to just kind of just go with the flow on this one and just kind of, just speak from the heart, and just be brutally honest about some things here, and it may not really be, I guess, likable by a lot of people. But, anybody who knows me, and as I will always say and will continue to say, is that, I will always be real. Like I said, I'm not saying that I'm the most realest person here on YouTube. But anytime I actually want to do a video, it's because there's something that I think needs to be said from my point of view. You don't have to agree, but, just hear me out. The issue with the Confederate flag. Now, I'm from the South. I've been born and raised in the South, and this particular issue or this particular flag is not really anything that really bothers me. I mean, like I said, I know a lot of people may look at and may say, what is he talking about? He's black. He shouldn't be saying that. But I want you to really understand where I'm coming from with this. We already know about, the history of racism and slavery, because slavery was in existence well over 200 something years. I mean, like I say, so this is not really anything that was actually something that actually just lasted a short while. I mean, blacks really, suffer psychologically, from the effects of slavery, and even we have a lot of them that are still, fighting the effects of slavery, with that slave mindset and so forth. But when you look at when I was actually, when I was growing up in the South here, in Florida, there are certain parts of town where I would not go to, or my parents or anybody in my family wouldn't go to, because it has a history of, as we would say, rednecks, the clans, and all this other type of stuff, given the fact, and like I say, what it is that anytime we would see these type of flags, even if it's like on a car, like the tag on the car that has like a Confederate flag or what have you, we would, have our own opinions and develop a certain attitude towards that particular person because of, their ideology. And the thing about it is that, you could say that was, I guess, through ignorance and, not really knowing any better and such like that, which is the reason why I'm glad that I was able to mature and actually read and really come to understandings of a lot of stuff on my own. As you grow up, you mature, you start to find things out and research on your own instead of taking the words of what you've been, raised up to believe, and that's the best thing about maturing is that you have the ability to, to go out there and form your own opinions about things instead of actually being railroaded into thinking a certain way just because you've been raised with a certain belief. Now I will say this. Now, like I say, a lot of people are arguing right now about the Confederate flag, meaning that, You have some that are pro, and you have some that are against it. The pros are saying, well, it doesn't represent slavery. It represents, Southern pride that dates back to, the Civil War, and, and just wanted to keep the traditions and, the pride of those who actually served in those wars, who were killed, I guess to make a way, I guess to provide, I guess, a way or a standard, a certain outlook. I guess I don't know. And the thing about it is that in theory, I guess I can kind of understand where they're coming from. I guess, kind of, sort of. But you got to understand something. The Civil War did not last as long as slavery. Okay? And the thing about it is that slavery lasted a long time. And like I say, it's been a while since I've been in a history or in a took a history course, but like I say, I'm not stupid. There are some things that I do remember, and there are some things that you just can't forget. Even though I wasn't a part of slavery, we studied slavery and we studied it extensively, and it's been times where I actually took it upon myself to do even further research, versus what somebody has told me or what they would want me to know. That's the whole point of picking up a book and reading. Open up your mind, get some more understanding, get a deeper level of understanding. But the issue is that I understand, the fact that that you want to keep the Southern heritage going and stuff. But anytime I hear when somebody says something about Southern heritage, it just makes me cringe. I don't know. I really don't understand. It makes me feel queasy, because we already know, as far as the South goes, as far as what it means for black folks. It's something that really is it's been like a nightmare. That we're still trying to wake up from, if you will, trying to still sort things out. Okay, what do you mean? What are you trying to cover up? Okay, you're saying Southern pride. Okay, well, in the South, the only thing that we actually have renditions of or remembrance of is the fact that we were still trying to fight to be free and to be seen as equal, human beings who are capable of maintaining ourselves. The only thing that we remember is the fact that, white folks, and nothing against white folks, I love everybody, but you just got to be truthful about it. The only thing that the average black folks remembers about quote unquote Southern pride is the fact that, white folks did everything they could to keep their pride and their, contributions to society in check, while at the same time wanting to lessen the black folks community, or the black folks contributions to what, we would do, or what our contributions were to society. I mean, it's been done on every end, on every single level, if you think about it, and the fact about it that when we actually wanted to get our voices heard, the main thing that was done by most white folks, white society in that time is just, to do everything they can to cover up, what they were doing to keep black folks in chains, so to speak. Even though, this was post-slavery, I mean, the slavery mindset and, the white privilege concept is still, was still in effect. I mean, like I say, even now to this day, I mean, like I say, that's why I get tired of people telling someone that get over it, racism is dead. No, it's not. No, it's not, because you're going to always have the concept. You're going to always have people with the mindset, that they feel that they are entitled or they are better than someone simply because of the color of their skin, or that they should actually be entitled to certain resources just because of who they are. And if you are different from who they are, then you should not be entitled to it. And like I say, to me, that is just morally wrong on so many levels. I mean, on so many levels. I mean, you treat somebody based on their character, how they treat you, not on the color of their skin. That's pretty much what we've been raised, or that's what America was supposed to have been indoctrinated into during, the civil rights movements and, the marches and stuff that was done by Martin Luther King. But going back to this, this legacy, this history or whatever, the thing about it is that, this Confederacy or the Confederate flag didn't actually come into light until, the Dylann Roof situation. And my issue is that, this, black folks are celebrating, like I say, and I'm like, okay, and I'm thinking to myself, what in the hell are you celebrating for? Anytime you find something that is offensive, it shouldn't actually be brought to the spotlight in lieu of some sort of tragedy. It should actually have this is something that should have been ringing in the ears of the civil courts, in the Supreme Courts for a long time. A tragedy like this should not have been actually done in order to bring a spotlight on something that is considered wrong or considered to be an insult to folks, if you can follow what I'm saying. Now, the reasoning that Dylann Roof gave as far as his reasons for the shootings, I find to be very, very interesting. And the fact about it is that I guess it has something to do with a white woman, I guess, that he was trying to get close to. I guess a black man took him away. It was a lot of things that was being said as to the reason why he actually did it. But the thing that actually stuck out to me is the fact that he says that the blacks are trying to take over. And I'm like, well, if that is the case, which I don't think so, but if that's the case, then I would say it's about time. Because we've been held back from so many things, and for so long, being told that we will never amount to anything, that we will never be good enough, that what we're looking for is so far out of reach, so we shouldn't even try. Now, like I say, from that standpoint, I'm like, well, you know what? It's about time for us to take over. But the issue is, I'm not saying that from the standpoint of actually wanting to say that you're trying to get even with white folks, because the thing about it is that I'm not in competition with anybody. I'll put it like that. Me as an individual, I can't speak for the other black person who may be listening or whoever who may have a different mindset. I'm an equal person. I'm a human being. I have a mind. I can think. I have all of the capabilities, all of the traits, everything that a white person has physically. I have it too. So that's what puts me on the same equal level playing field as a white person. I don't feel the need to try to get back at somebody by trying to do something that I feel that is out of my character, just to say, you know what, I can do that. Now here take that and shove it. I personally, I'm not that way. I've never been that way, and I don't ever plan to be that way. But I felt that, it was funny to hear a white person say that, and like I say, as far as, the black man and the white woman relationships, like I say, you see a lot of videos here on YouTube talking about it, and still to this day are talking about it. This is not something that's new. I mean, you had white women, they love black men. I mean, they did during slavery times. It has a lot to do with their curiosity, about what the black man can do, especially sexually. That's not anything new. It's always been a curiosity of theirs. And like I say, the white man actually felt threatened by the black man's sexual, activity, about how he's able to satisfy and please not only his own woman, but their women too. I mean, like I said, what can you do? I mean, we already know about what was done to try to humiliate the black man by castrating him, by, having his private parts castrated where it can be seen in the jars and stuff like that. All of that was done to humiliate the black man. So now it's like history is repeating itself. So now everything is being done now to humiliate black folks. And see, the thing about it is that, we still are going to have to continue to march on and fight for justice, just like we always do. So that's not anything that's new to us. But the issue is that we feel as black folks that, in the wake of these shootings that, it's brought attention to the Confederate flag. You have a Supreme Court, and everybody in the capital of South Carolina that are actually, wanting to go ahead and actually, make rulings to actually take this symbol down. And the fact about it is that, black folks are celebrating. I'm like, well, I don't understand. Why are you celebrating? This is something that you could take a flag down, okay? You can take the Confederate flag down. But that doesn't mean that really that anything is going to change. If anything, it's going to be met with more opposition, and you're going to still have people that are going to feel that it's their right to fly their flag, to fly and keep that Confederate flag in an open place where it can be seen.
If it's not going to be in, like in front of, courthouses or state capitol buildings or what have you, it'll be flown and actually, in people's personal properties, because there's a lot of, homes here in the South where I live that actually has the flag, in their front yard open for display, and where it's flapping, the Confederate flag is just flapping freely in the wind. Just because someone says that it's offensive to them does not mean that they're going to take it that way. And for that fact, and because of that, they're going to say, well, you know what? You have your right to dislike it. I have my right to keep it up. And honestly, I can't disagree with that. Like I say, black folks have become very emotional when we see things that remind us of our past. And the thing about it is that once it does that, it kind of paints, it kind of gets us on that one track mind where now everything is offensive. It doesn't matter what white folks say or whatever. It's like we'll take offense anyway and then try to make something big out of it, when really the intention was nowhere near what we black folks would make it out to be. So now we're like in an area now, in a unique place in human history now, where it's like people are now afraid to really, in a sense, interact, say certain things, do certain things, because they are afraid that it's going to offend the other race. And see, the thing about it is that, to me, that's not a way to live. I mean, honestly, that's not a way to live, because, I'm not saying, now, if you're going to be a bigot, you be that. If that's all that you know, and like I say, that's all that you're comfortable with, you do that if that's what you must do. But don't be surprised if it's met with opposition. And if that opposition doesn't come with a fist going through your mouth. I mean, like I say, because these days, black folks are not all that understanding. I mean, we will want to we want other people to think that we are understanding, that we can think rationally. But I think the patience is really wearing thin when it comes to these type of issues, because, time and time again, we're seeing, where we are being overlooked, we're being railroaded, we're actually being, having things taken from us out, like I say, in a form of life, and like I say, now our properties, so now it's like we're going back to that old time mindset. History is repeating itself, where we're having, people being killed, all in the name of, racial tension. And the thing about it again is that, what can be done? Like I said, there's many different ways that you can actually take and go with this. But like I say, what can be done? What is going to be the solution? I mean, now we have a whole thing now that's going on where you have a copycats. Like I say, where you have a bunch of black churches now that are randomly, just going up in flames, overnight. People are different, and most of it is happening in the South. So now I'm like, okay, we just need to just stop it, Like I say, this is all of this type of stuff is not bringing us any closer together. All of it's doing is just, it's just dividing us further apart. And it's really keeping us at arm's width, from wanting to really sit down and talk things out. Now, like I say, this Confederate flag, like I say, I'll never accept it. Like I say, I'm just being openly and honest. Like I say, but that doesn't mean that I'm actually infringing upon somebody's right to have it in their presence. That's their business if they want to, hold that symbol. I already know what it means. Like I say, I'm not crazy. And like I say, and how dare people, and I've seen some people on YouTube actually criticize black folks in a sense for actually saying that that's a racial flag. And I hear this coming from other black folks. But like I say, those who actually know the truth, those who actually live through the truth, those who actually have grandparents and grandfathers or whatever that lived through that legacy where they were actually, not given certain rights, and those rights were withheld by people who actually supported what this flag stood for, they, in a sense, would have a right to feel the way they feel about it. I'm not going to sit up there and tell, somebody else how to feel about something. Like I say, they have their personal reasons why, and I'm pretty sure that they can actually provide evidence on why they feel that way. It's all about you supporting your reasons for something, not going by what somebody else is saying. But it's a very interesting time now where, for black folks. I understand, white folks, they have their issues too, but I'm talking about from the black perspective. It's a very crucial time now for us, because we're having to sit back and really reevaluate a lot of things. And really, the thing about it is that, like I say, I always keep saying history is continuing. It will always repeat itself. There's nothing new under the sun. We're going to always be faced with these issues where, where we're met with violence when we're trying to get some understanding. That's just our culture. And like I say, it's not a pretty picture, but like I say, that's what we're used to. That is our legacy thus far. We are the ones who are the underdogs, if you will. But yet still, when we get a little something going for ourselves, you got other races, other cultures, other people that want to come in and take away what we've created, what's ours. And like I say, again, that's nothing new. But like I say, it's going to be interesting to see how far this fight is going to go. I'm pretty sure that now that the rules have passed where that flag has to come down, you're going to still see a lot of places, especially here in the South, they're going to still have it advertised in their stores, despite the fact that they're having to pull television programming like the Dukes of Hazzards. Walmart had to pull the shirts and other stores had to pull the shirts that actually branded that Confederate flag. You're going to still have some people that are still going to somehow wave that around and still feel that it's their right to have it. And like I say, I will say to this, yeah, it's their right to feel the way they feel it. And like I say, if they want to brand that in their own personal places, you do that. I cannot come in and tell somebody how to run their own show. But in the grand scheme of things, I want folks to understand the removal of that flag, the Confederate flag, it's not going to change anything, because it's what's in the heart that's really going to determine what's going to change. Okay, like I say, I understand, the importance in the history of the Civil War. Anybody that's taken a history class already knows the importance and the contributions, of those who fought in the Civil War. But see, the thing about it is that that's the only thing that the white folks really want to harp on. They're saying that that's what their flag stands for. That's their Southern tradition. Black folks, like I say, when we lived through the legacy of slavery that lasted well over 200 some odd years, being held down in chains by those who support and wave that flag over the black folks' head, that kind of traumatizes us and leaves us, and it really burns that into our minds to think that anybody that actually supports that flag supports racism. And if you support racism, I know you're a supporter of slavery. So like I say, it's going to be interesting to see how this turns out and how this is going to actually, continue to, to make headlines in the upcoming weeks and maybe in the upcoming months, because this is a big issue. But like I say, I don't want to go and drag this out too far. That's just my thought on the matter in itself. Peace out, folks.